It's the M&M Funky 5 Jive with Mike and Mel, the short and sweet podcast where they dive into toys, kids, and all the chaos in between. Packed with tips, stories, and unsolicited opinions because, let's face it, they've got plenty. And hey, their opinions are their own, so save your whining for someone who cares. Now let's get to it. Time to play with Mike and Mel.
Hey, welcome to M&M Funky 5 Jive.
I'm Mike. This is Melissa. We going to switch it up a little bit this week because usually we talk about the toy industry and that kind of stuff because of our game Chicka Chaka. But this week was the Grammys, and we started having kind of a long discussion about music and what the Grammys meant and about growing up with different kinds of music. As you can see, we got quite a music selection, even our retro stereo back here, and we're going to take you on a journey through all the musical genres we've been through and talk about the music industry a little bit. And I think first off, let's talk about the Grammys.
I could not care less about the Grammys this year, and I sound like an old person, but you know, I just don't know any of the music that was up this year. Did you? I mean, I'd heard of a couple people. I mean, obviously Beyonce, but
we didn't even know that that album was a country album or considered country.
I did.
Crossover, whatever they call it.
Right.
But I think now we're not going on any facts or anything, but it's my personal opinion that the Grammys are basically the big record companies showcasing what they got. And
I agree.
and I don't think it has anything to do, because when we were kids, when we were growing up, so my musical influences started in the 60s, I guess, with the Beatles and that kind of thing. And then obviously as a young adult or a young, middle-aged age kid in the 70s. And then as I came about, into my teens, and I started high school in 78, so I was listening to all kinds of stuff. My mom was listening to John Denver and Jim Croce and, WIFE radio in Indianapolis. And then that was the big influx of album rock, and WFBQ and WNAP here in town started up. They started playing album rock, and that was the big thing. It was FM. Went from AM to FM radio, and we went from vinyl records to cassette tapes to CDs of 8 tracks, and we got them all right here.
and even before that, because
right.
You've got those Edison records too.
So anyway, back to the Grammy stuff. I think it's always been kind of I think the record companies used to have more control pre-internet, pre-electronic era, because you kind of got what they gave you, right? Mm-hmm. You've seen all the movies about Elvis and everybody else getting on the radio. Of course, he was doing all the R&B stuff from the old days, redoing it, Big Mama Thornton songs and everything else. But I think that it's always a showcase for these big record companies and for their big hype. And, some of the stuff is kind of out there for us because we don't listen to pop radio ever. But we listen to a lot of new stuff. I mean, we've got the old stuff we grew up with and the stuff that we've loved for years. And, back in our era, they're pumping Michael Jackson, but you just said, tell them about the world stuff and all that.
This is the 40th anniversary this past week of the single "We Are the World" by USA for Africa, and it was a group of mostly American musicians who got together to sing a song for famine relief, and that was in 1985, and I was in high school, and it doesn't seem like it's been that long.
High school,
yeah. And
I was in college.
So that was another thing that got us talking about the music that influenced our lives. Now, when I was growing up, I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, and my parents listened primarily to R&B, Al Green, Gladys Knight and the Pips,
Her dad
Roberta
had
Flack,
great taste. A lot of
a
jazz.
lot of jazz and so forth. And
Coltrane and all that.
my first album of sorts.
You have your first album here?
It is here. Where did it go? It was just here.
What are you looking for?
Sort of my first album, but an album I played a lot, and my parents eventually gave it to me, was this little gem, the Jackson 5's third album, with I'll Be There and Going Back to Indiana. And little did I know I'd end up living in Indiana. But when it came to other music that they listened to, that's what they listened to in their album life. But they had this radio station called WASH, and it was the contemporary hits of the time. So they played things like Chicago and Air Supply and all of that kind of stuff, which exposed me to different types of music. And so that kind of laid the groundwork for me as I got older, exploring different types of music, because it wasn't all Motown. And so I was like, what else is out there? And then I started getting into more alternative stuff in middle school and high school.
Yeah, but let's go back to that again. So parents' influence is always the big thing, right?
Right.
So when you start out, I love that her dad gave me a whole bunch of cool jazz albums from back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I love hearing that stuff, and it's great. But one of his favorite albums of all time was the Eagles' Hotel California,
right?
Which was a completely different genre, a whole different thing.
Right.
Your mom, we got a bunch of the albums from their collection, and you were going through them down in our house in Florida. And what was the ones we had there that you were so excited about that your mom had?
Oh, the Gladys Knight and the Pips album, because every time I hear Midnight Train in Georgia, it just brings tears to my eyes. My mother died about 28 years ago, very suddenly, and so that was one of her favorite songs. So every time I hear it, I tear up. And so I was so happy to see that it was in that collection that was passed down. In
my world, my dad was a jazz guy too, but not the same level your dad was. I barely remember my dad listening to music because he was just working all the time.
Right.
But my mom would listen to our local pop radio station, and back then it was called WIFE, and they had like the 70s flowers as their logo, and they'd listen to Wife Radio. And anyway, they played John Denver and all that stuff, and all that Seals and Crofts, and all that syrupy 70s stuff. Right. But as I started to get into it, like my first albums were the Beatles and like Revolution, and then the anthology albums, which we still have in this collection someplace. But the coolest ones was when I started discovering my own music, because on my way to school there was a Peaches Records and Tapes, and there was a Karma Records and Tapes, which were like the hippie. Karma was definitely, they sold the pipes and the whole bit. I didn't even know what that stuff was at the time, but I go in there and I bought my first one was Frampton Comes Alive. Right. I think that I personally bought. It's here.
Is that in here somewhere?
It's in here.
Yeah.
We'll go. I'll show some albums while you're talking.
Right. So as we were I was discovering more and more music. Rapper's Delight.
Yep.
Rapper's Delight. I remember the moment I heard that for the first time. I was in elementary school. I think it was in 3rd or 4th grade, and we had like indoor recess, I think, because it was raining outside.
They were playing that?
And so somebody had brought it in. They were like, I brought this new, it was a 12-inch single in, and the teacher let the person put it on the turntable. And I went to school with all kinds of kids, so it wasn't, like a predominantly black situation or anything. We were like, what is this? Hip hop, hippie to the what? It was, oh my gosh, it was so much fun. And that blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to learn more about this. So I remember that was interesting.
See, and that's the cool thing. So now, back then there was funny things because we would start discovering the different music. I was kind of more into obviously the album rock thing because that was my era. My first concert was the Beach Boys. I was 13, but I have been to so many concerts. Sometimes I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I saw them in concert," and I forgot I did. Because there's so many concerts over the years, but and so many great experiences. But it's like in those days you'd like discover like somebody kind of off, like this U2 album. I remember being in college and we got this and we thought this was so like out there. It's like, whoa, it's like right when it came out, like I don't know, was that 83 or something?
This is
War, but we had Boy.
But you had Boy.
And,
I have Boy in here somewhere,
but that one
it was like so different.
It's like we owned it because we were like the only ones that had it and we were the cool guys.
All right, so your first concert was the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
When you were 13. My first concert was Rick Springfield when I was 13.
I don't know which one's cheesier.
we had the Meriwether Post Pavilion, which is like that outdoor amphitheater, and so I don't even remember who I went with, one of my friends, but my mom dropped us off over there because it was like 10 minutes from home or whatever, and we went to see the concert, and I was like, all I listened to was Rick Springfield for the next 2 weeks.
Of course,
after that.
Well, and 2 weeks preceding because you had to know all.
Because you had to know all, yeah. And I still have the ticket stubs. I kept all my old concert ticket stubs. I got a bunch of them. And it's crazy. I mean, not all of them, but most of them.
Well, and so the concert going is a whole separate thing. I mean, we went you and I have been to see people like big bands like the Rolling Stones multiple times.
Right.
But then we and this is the thing that I think is unfortunate about things like the Grammys is that there's so much good music out there is unrepresented. I mean, you can find it and you have to dig. Like personally, I'm really into a band called The Best. I love this kind of music.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And we just find stuff.
Right.
And that's the beauty of like YouTube. You put on a song and it leads to the next one, And then we've also been visiting some of the stuff that we remembered from the past. Like what's the one we play every morning? Tell them that. That's a fun one.
Cockney Rebel.
Come up and see me to make me smile. I do what you want, but I do wild.
Cockney.
Come up and see me, make me smile. That's every morning. Smile.
Look that one up. You're gonna love that. It makes you happy in the morning.
It's a great morning starter.
But I guess my point is that there's okay. So Wolf Alice is one that we like to listen, or I especially like to listen to. Then we would get into some kind of harder core, but like L.A. poppy, but never going to be in the Grammys, like Starcrawler.
Yeah.
And then there's the weird ones like Dry Cleaning that we really love. And, so there's so much cool Gus Dapperton. There's so much cool stuff out there. Stuff that you might see at like Lollapalooza or the shows, that kind of stuff. But you don't hear about it in this mainstream world of music.
Right. Now you remember back then, of course, it was the era of the one-hit wonders, whether you're talking the 70s or
I think every era is that era.
Well, yeah, that's true. But it seemed like, there were a lot of people who made one record and then they moved on and then you never heard from them again. And that's a lot of work for somebody back then to like come up with the money to do a demo and have studio time.
Now it's so easy.
Then now you can go on GarageBand. You can, do open mic nights and get discovered because somebody took a video of you on YouTube and or on their phone and posted it on YouTube. It's amazing how you can be so exposed to music, and it doesn't have to be Grammy Award winning. It can just be great independent garage bands.
Well, in the early days of music, or I'm sorry, the internet. So I got a friend that's a musician, and Chuck Maiden. You can look him up too. He's good. And hi, Chuck. And I remember he told me, and I hope I'm not misquoting him, but he put together his first album.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he really wanted to do a produced album, hired musicians, but he spent like $50,000.
Oh,
And he wasn't, you know, he was just like me back then, you know.
yeah.
We didn't have that. You don't have $50,000. If you have $50,000, you're gonna go buy 2 cars back then.
Right.
So and he put together,
maybe
and
3.
so you look at the difference now because you try to you can do so much more with less. I mean, you've got all this editing software and stuff that we use all the time.
Right.
And we're not musicians. We own a lot of instruments, but we don't know how to play any of them. But
we know how to play them. They just
you
don't.
do.
They just
do
don't.
better.
They just don't create sounds that flow
they don't work
through the ears.
all right. So let's get back on target.
So back on target. So the 70s was known for like arena rock and disco and the concert boom, just like we were talking about. This Queen, all of them doing
but you
these
had
huge
Rush, Led Zeppelin,
there's more.
AC/DC. I mean, you go Leonard Skinner. You know, you go. There's such a gamut because then you got the Bee Gees and you got
Donna Summer.
You know,
and Anita
then
Ward.
there's a big Disco Sucks, and you know, and all the rock and roll and blah blah blah.
Right, and I love disco.
And even in like '78, you know, you had the Sex Pistols starting out.
Right.
So
that's
while you were listening more to this,
yes,
I was listening to this.
Right.
Probably at the same time,
right.
You know. So
well, and you know, before I discovered the alternative music scene, I was loving disco. I was spend
of course you were a kid.
Hours in my room learning how to dance and get the latest dance steps down. And
I had a
was
second cousin
it.
that was a disco instructor.
Really,
David?
Ooh. Oh, that's right. You told me that. and yeah, it's just so funny how my mom actually said to me once, because I was so entrenched in that music, she said, "Don't you ever listen to anything else?" And I go, "I do when I'm in the car with you guys, but this is what I want to listen to." You know, is the R&B and the disco and all of that.
Right.
I was loving it. But then when she said that, it made me think, and I said, all right, let's just kind of figure out what else is out there.
Right. And so back then it was a lot different. Mm-hmm. So I know that like when I started college, there was college radio stations.
Right.
And I'm sure they're still around, but it's probably not as
probably
not as cutting edge as it used to be, because back then, you know, we'd listen to the Violent Femmes. That's like I heard the Violent Femmes for the first time on college radio.
Yeah.
And even when I was working in Hollywood, I listened to Loyola Marymount station, and 2 of my favorite bands to this day, Modest Mouse and Sunny Day Real Estate, I found there, and that would have been like late 90s, early 2000s. Mm-hmm. And so I was still getting music from college radio back then.
Yeah. And
so, you know, now I think our best influence, the way we find music, is on YouTube.
Right. Now, and that brings up another thing, though, too. It's, if you, let's say you're in a place like Indianapolis where the radio stations, you don't find alternative radio stations, I'm assuming, back in the 70s or in the 80s. So how, as a person who says disco sucks and I'm not an arena rock kind of person, how did they find out about the Sex Pistols and so forth without the internet?
Because you had the magazines, you had like Spin magazine.
There you go.
And
you had magazines,
you had
Rolling Stone.
Rolling Stone, but Rolling Stone was a little more mainstream. I mean,
right, it was more mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it started out kind of underground and became mainstream, I think.
Right.
But you know, you had that stuff, but you also had like, well, especially in college. I think college was the big influence, because look at REM, Athens, Georgia, all that stuff. I mean, all the music that came out of there, and then you can take that on to Seattle and all the grunge rock and the you know, Nirvana and, you know, all those guys.
Right.
And so, you know, there's a lot of ways to be influenced over the time that we've been in this culture, of this musical culture. But I really honestly believe that you can find anything now. And I love Pandora too, because you can just, like, when we're working out or when I'm working on the computer, I can just put on a band I like, and then there are suggestions of stuff that come up.
Right, and that's another way of learning.
Yeah, and so I'll be pausing, like, who's that? And then I'll dig into that one.
Okay.
I'm gonna show some memorabilia.
Yes, I'm going to interrupt you because it's memorabilia time.
Wait, let's start.
Okay, so you start.
No,
you start, and then you do a few, and then I'll do.
No, show your concert.
Okay, so this. Oh, but I got a story leading up to that. I'm going to show you, for those of you who are younger and don't really know what it is. This is what's called a mixtape. It's a cassette. This one in particular is called Who Needs It? This was my friend in college, Big Brother's compilation of alternative hits, and I loved this tape, and I still have it.
The Kingston Trio. This is a little earlier than us. But
oh. Then I have
Brenda Lee.
Then I have another tape. Now, see, this is something else you did. Besides putting songs on the tape, various ones that you liked, you could also tape your friends' albums because you're recording.
Well, and you'd have
stereo was set up to. So I have Salt and Pepper on this one, and then on the other side I have Depeche Mode.
Wait a minute. So you have it's right behind me. You have a dual cassette deck.
Yes, the dual cassette deck.
So you can copy
your friend's
cassette to
stuff.
another.
Right.
You do the Wonder Years or Goldbergs or whatever.
Yeah. I do have some of those. We saw that yesterday.
We steal them from Columbia Records.
Oh yeah, Columbia
Record Club.
That
was crazy.
But
then don't forget cassettes. You also had the 8 tracks.
You also had the 8 tracks.
Spell. Come on.
Simon and
Garfunkel. Look at that. Don Denver. Neil Diamond. Come on. This is something. Kids don't know what this is.
They don't know what that is. That looks
you have
like
to plug it in with this thing. You had this big old hooting thing in your car, and you put it in there. But you could actually pick a track on this, whereas on a tape, you'd have to search.
Forward and you'd have to search, because that was the downside about making the mixtapes or making your own albums, was that it didn't have the auto stop. But if you bought it from the store and you had a fancy cassette player, you didn't have to do that. It would just stop.
But the thing is too, so in probably 76, I think, I got my big stereo. I saved up and was watching all the newspaper ads and figuring out which one I wanted. And I went into the record store and they played Supertramp for me. And so I could hear the speakers and all that. And the album was brand new. And I got it home and I had my cassette deck. First of all, that was so high tech, I had no idea how to figure out the wires. That was scary.
Oh, wow.
It took me a long time. And then, but then, that's when album rock became a thing on the radio.
Yeah.
And so you knew that they were going to play, whatever, the Rolling Stones, Some Girls album, both sides the whole time. Right? And so you get ready with the pause record on your cassette deck, and you would have the radio playing, and you'd have to go record. They had to be real quiet. And you could do the whole album.
Yes. Now I'm going to add to that story.
Because you had your cassette deck
in your car.
In your car. Well, if you were rich like some kids, I had I had an AM radio in my car. Got a 66 Buick Wildcat. Had an AM radio, but I had the cassette player, the one that you would take to class and record, that was like this big. And I had that sitting in the seat next to me.
Oh, I did it all the time. Honey, you were not. Don't worry. We did that all the time. And I remember one time my dad came to pick me up from my grandparents' house when we had moved to Maryland, but they were living in D.C. And we were traveling, and I heard this really cool song that I liked come on. Maybe it was Ring My Bell by Anita Ward or something. And I told Dad, shh. And I hit the record, and I put it by the bottom of my seat so I could get it coming through the speaker. But you can hear
the
car going, ooh, because it was a 1974 Honda.
Did you show your shirts?
Not there yet.
Oh.
So that is the beautiful part that I can't wait to dig those tapes out and hear those sounds. And then in another one,
Here
my
it is.
sister,
There's my friend.
there it is.
Keep talking.
My sister is on there because she was trying to get in my parents' room when I was trying to record a song.
Yeah.
And she was like, Melissa. She was like 3 years old. And I was just like, And then my mom's yelling in the background, why is Kelly yelling your name? What's going on?
Because that's
and
what.
it's all in the background of the song.
Because that's what they do.
Because that's what happened.
Because your little brothers and sisters ruined all your
They
recordings.
ruined everything. Okay.
I'm just showing random albums.
Okay, that's fine. So this one, you just did that with Frampton. I can do this with Michael Jackson. Look.
Hey, wait, look.
It's got the socks.
Look.
They can.
They're friends.
They're friends.
Hi,
I'm Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. I play guitar. My name's Peter Frampton. I'm cooler than you.
Peter Frampton, how'd you get your curls so tight? I love that. Mine are kind of
Do
drippy.
you feel like we do?
Just enjoy yourself. Groove. Let the madness of the music. Okay. So anyway, there's that. All right. So while you're showing random albums, I have got a little game for you. Are you ready?
Oh, look. So we got good. But look, here's Melissa's.
That was one of my first outside albums. Sean Cassidy.
Oh, come on. Here's your little 80s bopper album.
Oh, the Bangles. Oh, I love that one.
Keep going. Ooh, I saw these guys. These are the Kinks. I saw them with John. Back then, John Cougar. His first show was at the Convention Center in Indianapolis. First big show to an open night. At least that's what they said at the concert. We never even heard of him. But now look at him.
Yeah. Now he's
not even Johnny Cougar anymore.
No. Okay.
Ooh, I saw this one a couple times in concert. Market Square Arena. What are we ready for?
Okay.
What are we doing now?
You have to answer a piece of music trivia.
Quiz, hot shot.
Yeah. Are you ready?
I'm not good at trivia, but I will try.
You're going to try. Okay.
You can remember everything. I need some Prevagen.
I have the gift of being able to remember useless knowledge.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Okay.
What year did MTV first air? Did you want me to give you choices, or do you want to just guess it cold?
I can tell you the first songs.
I didn't ask that.
It was
if you
Video Killed the Radio Star.
Okay, that'll be a bonus.
Pat Benatar. And it would have been 84 or 5.
No.
What?
81. It premiered in August of 1981.
No.
Yes.
I don't think that's right.
No, it's right.
I would have been a junior in high school.
Yeah.
It was in college when it.
No, that's when you discovered it. See, that's the same with me. It premiered in 1981, but I didn't discover it until like 82 or 3. I don't know.
I didn't see it until 83, and I thought it was like 6 months old then.
Well, you know what's funny? My neighbor told me, she introduced me to Duran Duran as a group that I had never heard of before. And she said, oh, they're on MTV.
And you're like, what's MTV?
And I'm like, what's MTV? And she goes, you've got it. I go, no, I don't. She goes, it's on your cable. I go, what? So she comes over to my house and she shows me, and I didn't turn it off for the next
10 years.
10 years. And
I
still go to see Duran Duran every chance I
high
get.
school
No, it's not what it used to be at all. Okay, are you ready for your second question? Because you got to redeem yourself.
Okay, but I just think 81 is wrong. But go on.
No, it is right.
Okay.
I think you know this one. What famous punk band released London Calling in 1979?
The Clash.
Ding, 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 ding. Very good.
Of course. And they got that picture of that guy who's like,
yeah,
like looking like his dad on the front.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we have that. Okay.
Seen the Clash twice.
I don't think I've ever seen them. I've seen Big Audio Dynamite.
I never saw Sex Pistols though.
We got some meet and greet stories between the two of us with
We got some
famous
funny
people.
stories about Joey
Yeah.
Ramone.
That was so random. I was like, "What?" He threw me off. Okay, so
I want more trivia.
Can you? Okay, I got a good one for you.
Okay.
Can you guess the average price of a ticket for a concert ticket in the 70s with these pyrotechnics and light shows and all that
I know
stuff?
what I paid.
Okay, so tell me.
Like my first concert was under $6. It was like $5.50. That was the Beach Boys.
Okay.
And I paid as little as $7.50 to see Bob Seger, Aerosmith, those bands back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Then it started going up to like $12.50. And that was expensive.
Okay. Well,
and you had to go to Sears, to Ticketmaster in Sears.
That's right. You
and
had to go to
wait in
Sears
line.
and wait in line before the mall even opened.
Before the mall opened,
Sears
and then
opened.
yeah, if you wanted to get good seats.
Yeah, and we did that all the time.
Crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
So okay, so the average price was $5 to $10. Now, as you know, they can go up to hundreds of dollars.
Well,
and,
what did
and
we
VIP
pay?
experiences.
We went up and saw Sting in Chicago. That had to be a lot. I forget.
I forget how much.
Well, she saw Duran Duran last year, and you got VIP, and that was like $400 or $500.
It wasn't quite that much.
Yeah, it was.
But it was close.
It was
like
expensive.
Something. It was, but it was totally worth it. Simon Le Bon spit on me. Can't pay for that.
I wish someone paid me $400. I'll spit on him.
I didn't pay him.
All right, go on.
But anyway, so anyway, $5 to $10. My first concert ticket, Rick Springfield, I think it was 11.
That's probably right, because you're a little behind me in years.
Yeah, it was 11. So that was 1982, and then Duran Duran, when I saw them the first time, which was in 1984.
And this is the actual concert T-shirt.
Actual concert T-shirt. This is not a reproduction. This is the one.
Look how good shape it is.
It's in awesome shape because I wouldn't wear it.
We need to like frame that.
I know. I paid, and I still have the stub too.
All my T-shirts are gone.
$14, I think, before fees and everything.
Really?
Yeah, but that one was in Washington.
I still got a Van Halen T-shirt.
So my parents had to drive us there. Huh?
I do still have a Van Halen T-shirt because I found it in a box.
Oh.
But anyway.
Yeah. So, okay. So in the 80s, as we were talking about before, you got the MTV revolution, alternative music. You got the rise of hip hop, college radio, punk. What do you
all that
remember?
New Age stuff.
All right, so you said
so like you get Joy Division and
right,
you get the Cure, with all great stuff.
Yeah, that was
which is interesting that it's like cool again,
Yeah, it is because it's retro.
And then like going to see the Pixies. I remember going to see Husker Du, and met them it was at the University of Illinois, and they were at a gas station afterwards in a van. Mm-hmm. And they just played this big concert and drive around the van. We were all getting gas. We're like, hey!
Yeah.
But then, you have Bob Mould from that, who's gone on to do some cool stuff.
Right.
I'm a big fan of his. But yeah, so you get this underground kind of college-y stuff, but then you get a lot of that mainstream stuff. You had so much great pop back then, actually.
Well, yeah, and because for me,
I didn't listen to it though.
Oh, see, I listened to everything.
But now I like it.
Yeah.
It's like I was too cool for it back then.
Yeah.
But now I like it.
Madonna, Duran Duran, Michael Jackson.
Yeah, we got Madonna here someplace.
Depeche, yeah, she's over here. Depeche Mode, In Excess. Oh, my heart. Billy Idol.
Her first kiss was Michael Hutchins.
Yeah, it sure was.
Little kiss, but
little kiss. It's just like a fan kiss. It wasn't like.
But it's first time.
But it was first time.
First on the lips?
Yes. Yes. That was
Michael Hutchins' lips.
I know. God rest his soul. And so here is the other thing that was big in the 70s and 80s, and do not judge me. Okay. This is called the K-Tel compilation album. This one in particular is radioactive, and you knew because, see, it says K-Tel right there. And what these were is you would see these
K-Tels were the awesomest.
Yeah, you would see them advertised on TV, and they're a compilation of some of the hottest hits of the day. So this one, Radioactive, was released.
Look, it's got the police
thing.
little album right there.
So this one was released in 1982. It has every little thing she does is magic. The voice by Moody Blues.
I love the police and the cars.
Lady, You Bring Me Up by the Commodores.
Lady.
No.
Oh.
Lady, the fast one. Lady, you
I like the slow one better. Oh, that's a good one too.
And Super
when I'm down.
Super Freak, Rick James. Our Lips Are Sealed by the Go-Go's. So you had
Rick
a little
James,
bit of
bitch.
everything. I'm Rick James, bitch.
I'm Rick James, bitch. Enjoy yourself.
And so those were the awesomest. I love those. Now, here's the other thing that they had back in the 80s. And you've got one sample, and here's my other one.
What is it?
These are what were called 12-inch singles.
This one's mine.
This one's yours. This was mine. So this
That's
is
right,
this is
because
the
these
Cure.
are-
Why Can't I Be You? So what they would do is they would take one or two songs and they would put it on an album that was the size 12 inches. That was the size of a
'cause
regular
look,
album.
The music's only this
and
long.
the music's only this long. And
Whereas usually it's like
sometimes
that.
you would get, disco version. They would call it the disco version, the 7-inch version, the Paperboy like.
But remember you go to the alternative record stores, you get bootlegs.
Yes, and you got bootlegs.
And they were
now,
like recordings from albums in Germany.
This is
Crazy stuff like that.
This is
It was
how
awesome.
This is how
Bootlegs were like
hooked
the
I
coolest.
was into music. This is
What is that?
This is a Depeche Mode. Love in Itself. It's got 3.
I don't even know this one.
No, because I got this in Germany. I went to Germany in 1985, and I got this.
But I don't think I've ever seen this one.
Well, when did you go to Germany?
No, in our collection. I've never seen it.
Oh, really?
I never paid attention to
Oh,
it.
yeah. So that
See,
I
it's not
used
in
to
the sleeve.
do. Oh, yeah, put that in the sleeve. I used to do stuff like this. I used to order Japanese
Yeah, the
singles
Japanese ones, that was
from
big.
like Duran Duran. I have some of those. Got a ton of those.
This is really like, it's not very good
It's
quality.
not very good quality. Yeah, so we got to be careful with that. But anyway, love the 12-inch albums. And you play them on, some of them you would play on 45 speed instead of 33,
Yeah.
I think, too. But yes, very interesting. Now, here's my last little piece of memorabilia that's weird. This
Not weird, just fun.
well, it's going to be weird for people who've never seen it before, younger people. This is what's called an album video cassette. So this is Duran Duran Decade, which means there's all these songs, the videos for all these songs is in this video cassette tape. And I had this one and another one. And oh my gosh,
Yeah,
this
they're
is
not
like the
they're not-
best thing ever because it's good quality tapings of these the way you would see
Right.
them on MTV as opposed to me hitting record
I
on the
never had any of
VCR. No?
No, we'd rent stuff like from Blockbuster.
Yeah, well that's
You
how
could
I came
rent 'em,
upon
but I
would
never
rent
owned 'em.
them.
And,
And then I would buy
a lot
it
of the
after.
bands had like,
Video albums is what they would call them.
well, yeah, but then you'd get like The Song Remains the Same with Led Zeppelin,
Yeah,
which
concert
is
ones.
kind of a story of them
Yeah.
and the tour and
Right.
the concert.
Right.
So anyway, but that's cool.
Yeah. So you would get these, and then you don't have to worry about like I used to try to record videos.
We should watch
off-
that. We've got a VHS player.
Yeah, we should. That'd be cool.
If it didn't break. that'd be
Hopefully it doesn't break. Yeah, it's very old.
sweet. Anyway,
I would see a video come on MTV and I would record it off of MTV. So I made a mixtape of videos. And then, but see, sometimes I would miss the beginning or I'd cut off the
Yeah,
end
'cause
or whatever. And then, or
whenever
a
you're trying to-
commercial would come on and you're just like,
although the commercials make it kind of fun now.
right. Well, I've got making of Michael Jackson's Thriller
Yeah.
on,
Stuff like that's cool.
on there, but it's got all the commercials.
You can find some of that stuff
So,
too.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's
so
wrap
that's a
this
lot
up.
of fun. Okay, so you have to ask me.
I have some video,
You have to ask me.
some trivia.
Oh, I forgot about this.
What am I doing?
You're going to have to ask me trivia.
But you wrote it, so you know what it is.
Well, you can make one up. I don't care. I just did that for just in case, but I knew the answer to most of them. Look at this. I love this one. This is another original shirt.
Hoodoo Gurus.
From
That's a good one.
1986.
I had the Hoodoo Gurus out here someplace, but
Do you?
yeah, just to show some 80s stuff.
Yeah. But they opened this
Butthole
shirt.
Surfers, Hoodoo Gurus.
Yeah. 1986 is where the shirt, or when the shirt
James
is from.
Addiction.
And they opened up for the Bangles. And so I saw that concert and I bought the Hoodoo Guru shirt and the Bangle shirt, which I have back there too.
Susanna Hoffs.
Susanna Hoffs, every man's fantasy.
You know, she's a dominatrix now.
Yeah. I think the fellas from back in the day appreciate that.
That's craziness.
Okay, what are you going to ask me? Bring it on.
Well,
Well, just make something up.
okay, let's not say trivia. I got an idea. What was... Okay, first thing that pops in your mind.
Okay.
Think of MTV. First video pops in your mind.
In Excess the One Thing. Because I think that was the first video I saw.
Mine was too. And mine was David Bernstein, Talking Heads,
Oh, yeah.
Once in a Lifetime. You may find yourself living in a shotgun shack. That was the first. That's the first one. Which actually was a great one to see.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Billy Squire with his great dancing.
Yeah. Okay, now I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite MTV VJ?
Martha Quinn, of course.
Okay. Mine was Alan Hunter.
Alan Hunter was cool.
And
Who was the
because I
black
thought
guy?
JJ Jackson. Was the
JJ
black guy.
Jackson was all right.
I liked him. He was all right.
I like
liked
Matt
them all.
Pinhead too, because Matt Pinhead always did that Headbangers Ball.
Oh yeah, he seemed like a really cool guy, but I wasn't really.
Is
into
his name
that.
really Pinhead? I said that.
No, isn't it Penfield?
Pinfield. I think I just called him Pinhead.
Oh my gosh!
All right.
But yeah. Okay, so
So-
that was your favorite, and okay, your favorite. This is gonna be a tough one. What's your favorite '80s concert?
Oh, yeah. So Rex and I went and saw the Violent Femmes in the basement of a church, full on mosh pit, crazy fun. That was wild. That was like a really cool '80s experience because that was like, you know, underground music in an underground church in a weird place.
Right.
That was nuts. So that was fun. But then I saw lots of cool bands in the '80s. Like I saw, like in the early '80s, I saw a lot of the big bands, you know, Aerosmith, the Kinks, tons of stuff like Bob Seger, all those guys, Rolling Stones. But then I also saw some kind of more alternative ones. Like we went and saw Jane's Addiction. Oh, was that the '90s? So that might have been no, that was the '80s.
Was that the '80s?
We saw the Jane's Addiction at the University of Illinois also
Mm-hmm.
in a bar. I think it was at Mabel's or someplace near there. Blind Pig, something like that. But so I saw a lot of cool ones back then. I met the Ramones twice, but I never saw them play.
Ain't that something?
I met the Kinks, but I did see them play.
Yeah.
Who else? But then I saw crazy ones. Like I saw like real mainstream ones like Motley Crue.
Mm-hmm.
And Quiet Riot. That was the other one. I went backstage at Quiet Riot.
Did you?
Yeah, because I was working at the hotel and they stayed at our hotel.
Uh-huh.
And I set up their rooms for them when they came in.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me free tickets and backstage passes. I met Nikki Sixx backstage,
Wow.
which he wasn't with Quiet Riot, but
Right.
he happened to be there.
Right.
And it was somebody's birthday and they were actually having cake and drinking milk.
Did they give you cake?
Well, I wanted a beer and I didn't get one.
Well,
No, I didn't get cake either.
easy come, easy.
They had like a separate area. You could see them all back there,
Right.
and like I think the lead singer's mom was there. It was
that's
very mellow. I was
Yeah.
expecting crazy
Chaos.
backstage chaos,
Yeah.
drugs, and naked people, and
Yeah.
I didn't
None of that.
get that.
Well, of course.
Okay, what was yours?
Okay, of course, my favorite concert was the 1984 Duran Duran concert because that was the first time I ever saw them, and I was
and you were
nuts about
still
them.
a huge
I'm
Duran
still
Duran
a huge fan of them. And I've met them a few times. And so that's awesome. One time I was in the elevator with Sting, but I wasn't the only one in there. It was a bunch of us.
Did he smell good?
I couldn't tell who was smelling like what.
Maybe he smelled like B.O.
Went to, I doubt it. I think he was heading out to sound check or something because there was only one hotel in Columbia where all the stars stayed.
Okay.
And so we knew how to stalk them.
Okay.
So
yeah, right.
as a teenager, you know that you know where to go. So, I think we were like cruising the floors or something in the hotel. And then it just so happens that he was getting on and we were all like, oh, let's get in with him.
Right.
And so we were like, I like your music.
Did you really?
Somebody said it. I didn't say it.
Oh,
somebody was with.
How embarrassing.
Then there was this whole INXS thing. Oh gosh, that was just in 1988. There was like that was like a day-long thing.
But that would have been a great concert.
That was it was always fun. I saw them in concert 3 times, I think, before Michael's demise.
I never saw them.
They were great. Saw U2. U2 in concert was a religious experience, and they better tour again because we have to
Vegas
get this man there.
That $1 million.
It's over, yeah. But hopefully we'll get to see them somewhere. So I don't know. It's like you.
There's
so
a lot
many
of good
great
stuff.
experiences.
And different kinds of music.
Which
has always been the thing I think that you and I have. I think when it comes right down to it, we can sum this up by saying, with the Grammys, we looked up a lot of the music to hear stuff we hadn't heard. And we were actually surprised. And we did like some of it quite a bit. And we didn't like some of it.
Right.
I mean, I was a big Sonic Youth fan, but I thought that
Kim Gordon
was, she's a little, but she's 75 or something.
Yeah.
Now, but that's just go home is what I say. Your time is over.
Yeah.
But let the kids do it. But no, I take that back. Sorry, Kim. Keep it going. That's cool. But I think that over the course of our musical lifetime, we've had a lot of great experiences. We could talk for hours on this.
Yeah.
And we didn't even talk about, a lot of music and experiences and people we've met and things we've done and seen and sneaking in and whatever.
Oh gosh.
All the fun stuff. But
into a concert or two.
But it's always fun. But I think that we've had a really good musical experience, and I really love our collection.
I do too.
And even though this is like a fraction of what I used to have, because so much of it got stolen or lost or taken or
I know.
whatever.
After all the years, and the moves and everything, you tend to.
But we still got a good
look
at all those CDs.
A lot. Yeah, and then all of our digital music too. So
but the funny thing is, we usually just put it on the TV. Play it through the stereo.
I know, but every once in a while, just knowing that it's there and it's tangible, it makes me feel good. So
okay,
I'm all good with that. So that's a little bit about us.
I hope you enjoyed our musical diatribe. So like us, subscribe, check out all of our stuff. We've got other vlogs talking about different things. We tend to stay in the toy industry. Please check out chickachakatoy.com.
Tell us all about your musical experiences in the 70s and 80s. And it doesn't even have to align with us.
I had a thought, and it just occurred to me. Maybe next week we're going to talk, I think we should talk about more of your kind of Zen vibe and how you have gotten me into meditating, and then we could talk about a new brand that we're starting up called Leela Brands.
Oh yeah.
And Melissa's done 4 published meditations,
4 or 5
that you can check out on YouTube. That's a brand new thing for us, but she's got the good vibrations happening, and so she's bringing me into it. And she does the tuning forks and the Reiki and all that good stuff. But I gotta say, I'm a skeptic, but I'm digging it. So check us out all over the place. chickachakatoy.com, LelandBrands.com, and is that it?
I think that's it. So till next time.